Hey guys, so I'm back in London now, which is fun and fresh because I can go back to filming videos now with good lighting. The good lighting is in town and we stand. I didn't upload for like 3 or 4 days because I was on holiday and I was tired and I was in pain because I did snowboarding and I also just had trash lighting. So I kind of just filmed one video and decided to cut it right there. Anyway, Instagram, Twitter, follow me on there. It's a really fun time, and subscribe because we're almost at 500k, and at 500k we're going to make a second channel. Rebecca Black recently posted a tweet which talked about her experience on the internet. If you don't know who Rebecca Black is, Rebecca Black was and still is a singer, and then she became a YouTuber, and that was kind of the vibe. She became a singer because at the age of 13 she took part in a production of her first kind of professional song, and it was with a company called Arc Music Factory. And I've watched a lot of videos on Arc Music Factory, and they have a lot of those really songs that they make these kids perform, and these songs will not make these people's careers. Like, Rebecca Black was very lucky with the fact that she jumped on YouTube and she kind of kept her career going, but a lot of these kids will have this one song, and not only will it ruin their like personal and social life at school because they will get bullied for it, they're also it's not a good enough song for them to then be able to have more songs and end up on the radio. And it's just really sad to put kids through that just so you can make some money, because I believe, allegedly, that the reason the songs are so bad is so that it gets more like controversy around it, and more people click on that video and they make more money from that video, but they don't think about the longevity of someone's career. They just think about this one song and how much this one song is going to make them. And that's kind of what I think of Arc Music Factory, but it's all alleged information, my opinion, don't come for me. I remember, I think it was Casey, she filmed a video on Arc Music Factory and like the that goes on this. So yeah, Rebecca Black had her song called Friday. If you don't remember that banger, that was a thing. She posted on Twitter and she said, 9 years ago today, a music video for a song called Friday was uploaded to the internet. Above all things, I just wish I could go back and talk to my 13-year-old self who was terribly ashamed of herself and afraid of the world. To my 15-year-old self who felt like she had nobody to talk to about the depression she faced. To my 17-year-old self who would get to school only to get food thrown at her and her friends. To my 19-year-old self who had almost every producer-songwriter tell me they'd never work with me. Hell, to myself a few days ago who felt disgusted when she looked in the mirror. I'm trying to remind myself more and more that every day is a new opportunity to shift your reality and lift your spirit. You are not defined by any one choice or thing. Time heals and nothing is finite. It's a process that's never too late to begin, and so here we go. This might be a weird thing to post, but the honesty feels good if nothing else. That's kind of why, linking to a whole different topic, that's kind of why I'm always wary of young celebrities as well as family vlogging channels, because you don't know how you're going to impact that child's future. It might end up being great, you know, they might end up getting loads of opportunities and stuff, but like Rebecca said, it's, you know, every songwriter and producer just said, we're not going to work with you because of the past that you have in the music industry. And that's all because, you know, at the age of 13, her mum and her just decided to, you know, try and propel her career, but they didn't do it in a way that was more organic. It was very much with a company that is just looking to exploit young kids. Jaclyn Hill has now released her palette. I believe it came out yesterday, if not before that. And I mean, it looks great. I said that already. The palette looks fine. It looks like something that I'd very much be interested in if it was like 4 times smaller. I don't need that many shades. I really don't. And if you look at the palette like up close, the bottom, second row from the bottom on the left, all the pink magenta type shades just look exactly the same in most lighting. And then you have those like burgundy shades that there's like 3 of that look exactly the same. Like, there is slight variation in tone, but do you need 3 very similar burgundy shades in one palette, or do you just need 1? The shimmer shades at the top right corner low-key look very similar to me. Like, I'm not gonna see a difference once I slap it on my eye. And then there's, you know, like a yellow shade, which is the only like different shade. There's a gold shimmer, which yeah, looks very different, but I'm sure we all, if you're like into makeup, you have a gold shimmer shade somewhere in your collection. And then there's that really nice, like, there's yellow, gold, and that nice like corally shade, which I'm very like drawn to, but I'm not gonna buy a whole palette for a corally shade. But I'm also just not a big fan of Morphe. So that was my general consensus on this palette, is I wish I had come out at a different time. I wish I'd gone about it a different way. I wish she hadn't disappeared off YouTube and then came back with another Morphe palette. It is too big for me. I think that a lot of the colors look similar, but in general the palette looks fine. And if you like big palettes and you like Morphe and you like Jaclyn Hill, then this might be a shout for you. I think the promo pictures looked great. I already said all of that. I was very nice to Jaclyn in my last video, surprise surprise, but there are some problems, of course. A few people had problems while checking out. It's almost like just a smaller scale version of the Jeffree Star Shane Dawson thing, where a lot of people just couldn't check out, and then when they did check out, it would be like, oh, you have to wait a few minutes because we're having some issues. And then some people checked out with absolutely no problems. So there's that. Then I saw a few posts on Instagram where people duped this palette with just a whole other palette. Not like they had to dupe each individual shade. No, just this whole palette could be duped with a Colourpop palette. So that's on the screen right now if you needed that knowledge, if you didn't want to support Morphe, because that's my thing, is I just hate supporting Morphe for some reason. It makes me feel icky. I have like maybe 2 eye brushes that I don't use anymore because they're so scratchy. I just need to throw them out at this point. And I have that James Charles palette that I went hard on a while back because I was like, I don't like this palette. So I only used it like twice and I was like, I don't like it. So in every video after that, when I mentioned the James Charles palette, I just said I didn't like it. And then recently I was like, let me give it another chance. Maybe it's not as bad as I thought it was. And I swatched it and it feels like chalk. So I don't know how it performs on the eye. I can't remember. I think it looks okay, but it's just too much effort for me. I like eyeshadows that just, and they work. That one just didn't work the way I wanted it to. There was also some drama regarding people saying that the palette was expired and that it was from like 2018 and it's 2020 now, because she posted a picture of her and Linda, the owner of Morphe, swatching the palettes. But just because someone's swatching palettes in 2018, well, yeah, they have to swatch it before they produce it to know that that's the shades that they want. I don't know. There was a lot of like people going back and forth with receipts regarding like when it was created and when it wasn't. And then T-Spill posted a tweet saying Jaclyn Hill addressed the rumor that her Jaclyn Volume 2 palette was old and had been sitting in storage collecting since 2018. What you think? And Jaclyn Hill basically just said, this is a shipment of my original Jaclyn Hill palette for restock. The JH2 is used for my original Jaclyn Hill palette and is on the back of every box. There's not to be confused with Jaclyn Hill Volume 2 or the Jaclyn Hill Favorites palette. So at this point, I don't know. I'm not really that bothered. I think if people get it and it smells fine and it works fine, then it must be fine. Next, recently a lot of videos have been popping up in my recommended regarding a certain hair company called DevaCurl. I've never had curly hair. I've always had pin straight hair, like hair that does not hold a curl to save its life. Like if my life depended on it, I would be dead. Yeah, I don't have curly hair struggles, but I know having curly hair is a struggle. You have to use specific shampoos and specific conditioners and specific like styling products, and you have to style it in a specific way, and you can't brush it all the time because it will get frizzy. There was like a whole book about rules that you should follow if you have curly hair, and that's where it all started. DevaCurl is a company that a lot of curly haired influencers kind of not were always sponsored by, but they kind of like showed in their videos because it was apparently the best brand. It was expensive, but apparently it worked. It had none of the like sulfates and silicones in it that would drag down curly hair or dry it out. So everyone was really into it, even though it was really expensive. People were like, you know, spending their last coins on this shampoo and conditioner so they could have beautiful curly hair. And after a while, people started realizing that their hair is losing like volume and definition. They were starting to lose curl definition, and all the curls were just kind of blending into one frizz. And a lot of people are actually starting to lose hair, get dandruff, get dry scalp problems that they've never had before, or like a build-up of weird grease in their hair. Like, you know, if you have like if you don't wash your hair for ages, kind of that kind of a build-up when they have been washing their hair. It's crazy. And there is a whole group on, I believe, Facebook, which has like 40,000 people in there, basically all just sharing their stories. And DevaCurl so far just basically said that, yeah, there's nothing wrong with the products are fine, the products are tested. Now people are waiting for the FDA to come out and do their own independent tests, and there is now actually a class action lawsuit against DevaCurl for the struggles that people have gone through with their hair because of them. And yeah, I feel extremely bad. I know people say, oh, it's just hair, but like my hair has always been like a very important focal point of my life. My hair's always been long and straight and healthy and thick, and recently I started getting really stressed out and I went to my hairdressers not thinking much. I was like, sis, I've got roots that I need fixing. And she said to me, why do you have bald patches on your head? And I said, what? And I was like, I don't have any bald patches on my head. She said, sis, you have bald patches on your head. And I was like, oh, okay. So I had like a patch here. Now I had to move. I don't know if you guys noticed in my videos, I've like moved my part from the middle slightly off center because there is a patch right here, which is convenient for someone that only has a middle part. And then I had like patches somewhere here under all my hair, which is fine because it's hidden. So she had to be very gentle with my hair, but apparently it was stress induced. I just lost hair because I was stressed. So that was really cool. So I know how it feels to then walk around with a patch on your head and be like, I feel like everyone's looking at me. I feel like everyone's thinking, what is happening on her head, when apparently like no one thinks that. No one is looking at your patch and being like, oh. But you know, for some people their hair is their comfort zone and their hair is like a confidence thing for them. And yeah, it sucks. It definitely sucks to have something happen to you that is so out of your control, and it's something that you can't immediately fix. Like you have to wait for the hair to grow back, and you have to wait for your hair condition to go back to normal. And there is just, yeah, hair is just such a weird, because like with makeup, if you do your makeup bad, you just wipe it off at the end of the day and you start again and it's fine. But with hair, it's just such a long long process to get it back to the state that you want it to be in. And I just feel really bad for all those 40,000 people in that group that had to experience that because they just wanted nice curly hair. Recently, I saw a post on Twitter from this user, and she posted a screen recording of a video that's now been privated by a girl called OK Sage, and I went on her channel and it's a lot of like my spiritual crystal morning routine and stuff like that. It's like very like aesthetic chill vibes. I don't know how to explain it. And yeah, just a lot of that. She's got like over 1 million subs. And now I'll play you guys a clip from her video that's now been privated, and you guys let me know if she's mentally okay.
Yeah, there are a lot of people who aren't going to believe that God is the creator of all. Jesus Christ died on the cross. Some people just don't want to believe it because they're ignorant. However, that will lead to the end of the world. And when the world is ending and in flames because of all of the terrible decisions that were not through Christ, when the world is being destroyed by humans, that is when God is going to come down and save the believers.
Yeah, I have a lot to say about this. First of all, you guys know I was supposed to be Catholic and now I'm not because I don't agree. Like, even if I was in some way, shape or form to believe in a God, I still would not be religious because I don't like the industry of religion. Like, I don't like churches and I don't like just the institution itself. So I can have my own faiths and stuff in the privacy of my own home, but you will not see me in a church, so that's cool. I just think it's very culty, like the whole thing, but I've already expressed my opinion on that. And I think a lot of religious people, not all of them, not the majority of them, but like a fair amount of religious people can get a bit toxic sometimes, and this is one example of that. Another one is Girl Defined and Morgan and something show, the Morgan and I forgot the guy's name. Yeah, there are a lot of people on the internet who are religious and who express very toxic views, and then there are some people that are religious on the internet express very nice views, but that is the minority, sadly. Like, for example, God is Grey. She has a channel where she talks about her issues as a Christian woman trying to navigate through life and not be a toxic human being and not, you know, discriminate against people that are different to her, and not discriminate against people just because some Bible said so, but also having her faith and believing in God. So, you know, there are some channels that are based on religion, but it's done in a very healthy way, and then there are some people who just can't help themselves and be toxic and... And then OK Sage posted on Instagram saying, I privated my recent vids. I want you to know that I understand everyone has different life circumstances, beliefs, thoughts, etc. and all of the responses I got were expected. I mean, religion is a sensitive topic and I didn't explain enough at all. I want you to know that whatever you believe, as long as you know you're a good person, it's all okay. You are you, and if you're interested in Jesus and do choose to explore the history, you are so welcomed and loved. You are loved no matter what and you are forgiven by him. I'm kind, I'm understanding, or at least I will always try my best to be. Self-awareness is important, and that is why the videos are private. I cannot say things to change your mind. Everything is up to you to freely explore if you desire. Whether you are Catholic, atheist, Jewish or anything, you're accepted by me, and I do not wish to judge you. All I wanted was to spread his name, and with love and light, happy Sunday. Here's the thing, this Instagram story on its own would make her sound like a very logical person, but also there's a lot of contradiction between her video and this. In the video she basically just said, you are ignorant, you are going to cause the end of this planet Earth, and when the end comes, only the religious people are going to make it out alive. And now she's saying everyone makes their own decisions and it's okay if you're not religious because it's fine and you are forgiven by Jesus, God and everyone else. It's like, make up your mind, Sally. This is crazy. This is wild. I don't know where to go with this. Also, she continues to like push the narrative of God existing on people even once they've said they don't believe in God. So she's still saying like, it's okay if you don't believe, you'll be forgiven by God in the end. It's like, I don't believe in God. I'm not going to be forgiven by anyone that I don't believe in. Just have your own faith and believe in your faith without pushing it on other people is what I'm saying. Next, Anastasia Beverly Hills recently, well, a few months ago, had a PR hunt essentially where they said, post looks under our tweets and we will add you to our PR list, and it became the most toxic, unhealthy, desperate looking thing I've ever seen. There were people that were just hating on other people's looks, saying, you know, you don't deserve to be on Anastasia Beverly Hills PR list, I deserve to be on it. And then there were people just like making little cliques and groups where they were like retweeting each other's stuff but alienating everyone else, and it just became such an unhealthy thing, and I hated every second of it. And even Norvina said it became too much, and a lot of drama channels were just saying it's a lot. Like, guys, relax. She could literally tweet out anything and people would just be like, look at my looks, look at my looks, look at my looks, and it's just it was so much. But anyway, that finished and she added X amount of people to her PR list, some small channels, some big channels, small MUAs, big MUAs, etc. And now a lot of people have been removed from the PR list because they're doing a new PR search, you know, as you like rotate people. And people are very upset that they were taken off the PR list. But hear me out. First of all, Anastasia Beverly Hills is a business, and a business is here to make money. If you are not making her money, she will get rid of you. And that is the hard, cold truth of working with a business, is they are always trying to make money. That doesn't make them a bad person, but that's what a business is. They're not a charity. And they already gave you so much. Apparently, everyone got like a full Anastasia Beverly Hills collection. And if they wanted any restocks, they could just ask for them. So it was like upwards of $5,000 worth of like products. You're not going to run out of them anytime soon. And it's also just about having a new eyes on your products. You know, if you just keep on working with the same influencers, that's, you know, they're not growing quickly enough to have new eyes on your products all the time. So you do need to rotate out the product. I mean, rotate out the people that you send your products to so that there's new eyes on them. However, there is the other side of the coin of people saying, you know, PR is the only way I can do this because I can't afford all these new releases, and people want to see reviews and eye looks and makeup tutorials with these new releases, and I can't afford them. So if I can't afford them, I can't make it big because people just want the new stuff. And it just leads to a lot of, you know, singling out people that have less money than you because you can afford to not be on the PR list if you're a big YouTuber. Like, I know people like Jaclyn Hill, for example, they don't need PR because they could buy all those products and review them. But they just receive them for free because she is big and she has a big audience and stuff. But these smaller channels can't afford to buy these things. So PR is the only way they would get it. But then because they're not big channels, they don't get PR. Do you see the cycle? It's a little bit. So yeah, I see both sides of the story. I just think appreciate what you were given, because if you show good, like if you show yourself in a good light now, there is a chance that you'll be back on the ABH list soon, right? But if you get very salty now and start like insulting ABH and Norvina, there is a high chance that you will just not end up on that PR list, and if other companies see it, on any other PR list. So just, you know, it doesn't matter how other people behave, just try to always show the best side of you, and that's all you can do in this industry. Yeah, I don't know where I stand on this. I see what people mean, but the way some people are saying it is a little bit off. Next, Jeffree Star has been called out for cultural appropriation, where he recently released a palette called something. I'll put it on the screen. I can't remember what it's called. It's a beautiful palette. If I was a fan of Jeffree Star or wanted to support him in any way, shape or form, I would buy the palette because it is so me right now. I love pastel-y shades. They're just so cute. But I'm just not gonna support Jeffree Star. That's not where I'm gonna put my money, because in this day and age, your money is your vote of like confidence and support, and I just want to give my money to brands that I actually believe in and not brands that I don't support, but you know, they release good products. No, that's not how I'm gonna do it, sorry. So yeah, anyway, palette's good. And in the promo pictures, he has like dreadlocks, and people are saying, and he like laid his edges and did all of that, and people are just basically saying, looking at his past, looking at his present and future, he doesn't have the best rep regarding other races and ethnicities and other cultures. So people are just saying, you know, for him to have that kind of a past, yes, he apologized for it, but then actions speak louder than words is what people are saying. I'm not in any position to say whether I'm offended or not, or whether you should be offended or not. I'm just saying this is what happened, and you tell me what you guys think about it. Mainly if you are someone that would be affected by this, what do you think about it? Do you think Jeffree Star should get a pass for this, or is he in the wrong again? And does his past change your perspective on this? Like, if he had not been racist in the past, would you be okay with this, or is that just regardless of his past? I don't know. Next, Hush Bang got 3 copyright strikes from Nikocado Avocado, which means their channel will be terminated, and YouTube has now resolved it apparently, where the channel is not going to be terminated because the copyright strikes were false. So I wonder what the consequences are going to be for Nikocado Avocado, or if there are going to be any consequences. Interesting to see. Next, James Charles was recently on Philip DeFranco's podcast called A Conversation With, and I saw a whole different side of James Charles. I watched that whole podcast, obviously on 2x speed, because that's the kind of I am, but I watched it with full interest and no annoyance. Like, I wasn't annoyed by him, which is strange for me. It's a new experience, and I saw a whole different side of James that I haven't seen in a really long time. And I think in the last year he has grown so, like, matured so much, and you can tell from the way he speaks that he is still kind of hurt by what happened last year, but he's also so, I don't know, he seems so mature to me now. And it's just a whole different side of James. I'm not saying I'm a huge fan of him now, and I'm not saying I'm gonna start like standing him and watching all his videos and stuff, but I don't know, that podcast made me see a whole different side of James that I haven't seen, and it's given me a whole new perspective on him, which I was very glad to see. I think he really put his best foot forward in that podcast. It was natural, it was like there wasn't too much thinking of what he was gonna say. He just said it, and he said what he was thinking, and there was a little bit of shade thrown, but I kind of appreciate that. I liked it. I liked that he's not taking this too seriously now. I like that he's just like, I'm just gonna throw a little bit of shade, make a few jokes, and just not take this whole thing too seriously. And I don't know, I really liked the podcast. Watch it it was really fun and fresh, and he didn't say anything that I would be like, oh, offended by. It was cool. I liked it. I don't know if that was a fluke or if he's just like this now, and if he's like this now, then yay. The last piece of tea is Gabbie Hanna. Gabbie Hanna now addressed the whole e-girl video. Gabbie Hanna made a video where she transformed into an e-girl, and during the reading of an article, she skimmed past a bit that talked about Bianca, who was a e-girl, had the whole, you know, she had the e-girl aesthetic, and she was actually and they had the picture of her and then just a slight paragraph that talked about that, and they just didn't read the paragraph, and they just, you know, talked about the picture as if she was still alive, and it was just a little bit insensitive. And I just kind of talked about it and just said I wish she had addressed it, because she's just not addressing it. And then she blurred out the girl's picture but still hadn't addressed it, and then she cut out the whole piece from the video and still hadn't addressed it. But now she released the video, and this is the first time in a really long time where I'm going to say Gabbie Hanna's response or apology video is actually good. I felt like I had no reason to not believe her this time. I don't know, it just felt more real, and this is what I want to see more of when she's addressing her scandals. She said, just basically paraphrasing, she basically just said that she didn't want to publicly make a whole video and a whole statement about this before talking to the people that are so close to Bianca, so like her family and friends, because you don't want to rehash a situation for the people to see on the internet and be affected by it again. So she didn't want to make a response before speaking to Bianca's mum, but then she had to do something about the video to kind of not be disrespectful anymore, and she knew that if she took the video down she would have to address it, because at that point everyone would know. So she thought at the start she would just blur it out, but then people noticed, and then she cut it out and people noticed. So it was just a lot of like, she wasn't really sure how to address the situation because she's never been in a situation like this. Actually, she kind of has. You know, like 3 years ago, she made a video where she talked about a girl that OD'd in her school, and she just never spoke to the parents of that girl to ask them if they would be okay with that. And then the mom did message her and said, like, I'm not okay with you portraying my daughter as an addict of sorts. So yeah, this isn't the first time she's done this, but I appreciate the way she handled it now, and I'm hoping that she'll handle things this way moving forward. She then showed messages from the mum of the girl, and the mum said that she's not offended by the video, that she was actually less offended than the friends of Bianca. Like, Bianca's friends were more offended by the video than the mum. I'm saying because the mum is from an older generation, they are less offended by things like this, and the younger generation is, I guess, just they're more like, not maybe I'm not saying they're like sensitive snowflakes, but we're more like in tune with things that we might be offended by. I don't know how to word this properly. Anyway, so yeah, Gabbie Hanna basically just said that once she addressed this with her mum, then she felt comfortable making this video because she got permission from the mum to make this video. And overall, I just thought it was a very well done video and well done apology, and I'm glad that it's now been addressed. And that is the end of today's video. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up, comment down below anything, comment down below, and subscribe. I post videos every other day or 3 times a week, or just whenever something happens. So hit that bell and you'll know when that's happening. Follow my socials, the description down below, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye guys.